What's crazy is that people, just based off of our avatars, are going to think we're both white guys, but they don't know you're black. And I think that's the most surprising thing for when people come into the studio.
Especially my voice. You might not expect it.
Anyways, something crazy. Not too crazy, right? But I was having a conversation at dinner with some friends, Billie Jean and I. And one of our friends is a nurse. And I was telling them about how I'm stoked for the training we're doing on Sunday to do some like serious, like, active shooter, medical triage training, get a lot of guys experienced on how to apply tourniquets, how to do like a march assessment, right? And find identify injuries and what's going on, and essentially do life-saving medical stuff until the pros get there and can get people on ambulances into the hospital. And in that, I was talking about how we were doing things, and this nurse was like, wait, you're gonna use a tourniquet? I was like, yeah. And they're like, I wouldn't do that. And I was just like, immediately I was like, okay, hold on.
Was she 60?
No. She's young, but immediately I was like, all right, let me just hear, because she is a nurse, and so you assumed she was a nurse. You assumed it was a woman. I mean, you said was she? I didn't even say.
All right.
I wasn't even gonna say the gender. Male nurse. Just kidding. But no, yeah. So I was like, all right, let me hear her out, because I want to hear what she has to say. And I'm not a medical professional, right? I've just received training, and she's like, yeah, the concern about that is limb amputation. About a tourniquet application.
Dude, they're reading a book from the 80s.
Well, you gotta let them. Here's the thing, man. You and I, Pat, we might be not in the know about the latest medical training or whatever.
That's
the
true.
nursing, because she did just finish her nursing last year. So I was like, okay, maybe she knows something. But anyways, we talked about it, and I was just surprised because they are still teaching wilderness survival. That's what she referenced. She's like, I'm wilderness survival first aid CPR certified, and they're still teaching don't use a tourniquet if you're way out in the woods, because they could lose their limb for having the tourniquet on for 8 hours. And I'm like,
life or limb.
Well, my only thing was like, look, I understand. You are the professional, right? This is your job. That said, everything I understand from the training I've done, they've said there's actually never been a case. There's not an actual medically recorded case that someone's limb was amputated because of the tourniquet. There was times where a tourniquet was applied, and the limb, by the time they got back to society, had such bad infection and such, or there was such horrendous damage to the limb that they decided to amputate it. But I've never seen anything where it was because that tourniquet was too tight, we had to amputate the limb. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then the other side of the argument, I was like, I would also wonder too, if we really broke it down, liter of blood per hour or whatever, right? How much you lose input per hour.
Yeah.
If that tourniquet leads to a blood infection in your lower limb or your arm or whatever, let's say, you got to get it amputated. How long, would not putting a tourniquet on, would that person have died from blood loss well before that? Or you know what I'm saying? It's one of those things of you really got to play the balancing game of even if a tourniquet is applied and somehow that leads to an amputation, at least the person's still alive because they didn't bleed out. So I just thought it was interesting. In no way or shape or form do I think she was wrong in her assumption. That I think that is genuinely what she was taught.
Right. I think she's a little maybe misinformed, because the wilderness first aid has been still doing the no tourniquet thing, and
which is crazy to me, because that is one of the things I make sure to pack on every outdoor thing.
Right. And I could see where the assumption being, let's say you're 3 days from medical attention, right? Which maybe that's the case. But at the same time, most times, if you're injured enough to need a tourniquet, at that point, you're getting out fast, and or if you can't get out fast, helicopters coming in to get you or something, if you can. In the best case scenario, someone's coming to get you, search and rescue, whatever.
Which, on that note, have your radios.
Exactly. Have the Garmin inReach, have radios, have something where you can get
you're
the
not
SOS
going to
out.
you're not going to jail if you override a frequency on ham and don't have a license. There's literal like laws and codes that protect you for if it's a medical life-saving emergency, right? You can use it
for sure. And there's like all sorts of things out there, tech we have. Even the iPhone's getting there. Like even on
but the only thing is like it's untested.
It's right now.
You know what I mean? Because like you can't test it without facing super bad legal consequences.
Right. Yeah. So I'd say that's true, but at the same time, like just the capabilities of like being in the wilderness and having satellite connection, emergency stuff. It's like what I'm saying is it's more and more common that you could get somebody to come get you out, and if it's so bad that you need a tourniquet, and because you're gonna and I would say too, don't know when to apply a tourniquet also, right? That might be like if the training too on, if people panic and there's a bad cut that could have been stopped with pressure
and packing,
but then they just go straight for the tournament, versus I don't know. I think I'm going to err on the side of tourniquet typically.
For sure.
If there's spraying or pulsing or we're going towards the tourniquet, and people don't like improvised tourniquets. But if I don't have one, I'm going to try to do something.
Yeah, staunch it. Well, one thing I've always like heard too that is like if you don't have a tourniquet, one of the best things you can do is put like a rock or something else that's rather round over that wound hole, that channel,
and then like wrap it.
Use your belt to like add more pressure, right? And it's not going to be enough pressure,
right?
Not going to be even remotely close to what you could get with like a windlass tourniquet, but it's going to be a lot more on that spot, and you still will, hopefully be able to start making your way to go get help. But we'll be practicing. I'm pretty stoked. Sunday, we're going to be doing, for those don't know, Ken, welcome. At this point, if you're hearing this episode, we've probably already done this training. It's probably already happened. But if you're listening to this episode, probably watched our IFAC breakdown with our buddies on the podcast. And with that, hopefully you have a better idea of like what we're talking about when we're talking like life-saving medicine and, the means for the everyday person to have the tools and knowledge of how to apply life-saving medicine. So that way you can get to the professionals who can do the professional stuff. But all that said, we're doing a training. And this training is with a guy who is a search and rescue dude most of the time around like throughout the year, but he also is augmented and gets paid to be what our boy Rice-A-Roni was, and go and be essentially like a medic on a SWAT team, an attachment there. So he's got a lot of serious real world application. I'm pretty sure he was also a medic in the military, if I remember correctly. But all that said, the training we're doing this Sunday, we'll be going over for everyone on our security team. We'll be going over like easy stuff in the beginning, right? Like just a diagnosis of the med kit we have on site at the church, which is like a very basic what you would have in the back of an ambulance, I would say, in a single kit. And just like when to use what out of there and what things do. And if you don't have the training to use this thing, don't touch it. But then getting into more of that, like after we do that, we're diving into like how to apply a tourniquet on yourself. If you're shot and there's no one around and you got the tourniquet, how to put it on yourself properly, how to put it on a buddy, how to identify like where the injury's at and like the proper level of like application of that tourniquet. And then also moving on from that, we'll be doing like a bunch of injury assessments and like moving through stages of like essentially like basic emergency medical training, right? So like if there is still an active threat, what's your priority? The person who's got, an aortic bleed coming out of their armpit or thigh, or the dude who's shooting still. Well, the priority is to stop that guy from shooting any more people, right? And if you can't stop him, then you need to wait. You need to stand by until the threat's over before you go in there and start trying to do triage medical. And it's like that kind of stuff that we'll go through. And then we'll do a bunch of scenarios, some that are like very unlikely to occur, right? But like just good scenario thought practices, right? But then outside of those scenarios, there'll be some more practical ones, like the likelihood of someone getting injured in a car accident or something right outside of the church, or they're crossing the sidewalk and get hit by a car. And then we have to do like, you know, we don't have to, right? But like, you know, as a God-fearing, you know, citizen of my country, community member, if I see someone get hit by a car in the crosswalk outside the church, I'm running over there to try to make sure there's going to be alive by the time the ambulance arrives. And none of this is like, this training is very much focused on like, hey, this is not heroic. Like, you're not going to be a doctor. You're not going to be a nurse. You're not even going to be an EMT. But what you can be is someone who is trained with the knowledge to at least take action to give that person the best chances of survival, especially if it's yourself. So I'm really looking forward to it. I don't know, Pat, if you got any thoughts from what you're looking at, just like with a training document and stuff.
Yeah, no, I think that he gave us this list of scenarios that we're going to run through, and they're going to be kind of on the like you were saying, on the less likely to happen side of things. But I think what's good about that, worst case scenarios, and the good thing about that is kind of push your mental limits to, you know, to the further end to see where you're at and train up to those things, where then, you know, as other things happen, you know, when you have minor things occur, you are just able to, you know, have a better grip on those things as well. And so I think it's gonna be good for our team to have all that stuff, that equipping and confidence too. Like I know I think I just am like an idiot, and so I just think I'm good to go. Right. But and part of that in my life has given me a good edge where I just confidence to just do it. But then that obviously that does stunt me, or, you know, or leave me with blind spots or thinking you can do more than you can do. But I know there's guys on our team who also are on the other end of the pendulum, like who like would be, or who are nervous or you know, not confident in themselves, or like really want to have, like, you know, the this sort of training that is going to give them the experience, the reps, and feel like they know what they're doing, feel like they know what they're talking about. And obviously I need to do it too. But I think that it's going to be a real confidence builder for our team. And I'm looking forward to the technical proficiencies, and well as like his the teaching and scenarios we're going to run through. I think they'll be super effective. You know, and just as far as the materials he sent us so far, I think it's going to be.
Smoke break. Hey, Ken, it's Mick, and I've got something important to talk about. We all hope we never find ourselves in a self-defense situation, but life's unpredictable. Enter the National Self-Protection Plan from Attorneys on Retainer, an actual credible law firm you can put on retainer for your self-defense needs. For just $35 a month, you get national coverage in all 50 states for criminal and civil legal representation in self-defense situations, complete with a 24/7, 365 toll-free emergency line. That's real legal support when you need it most. What's in the package? Bail bonds, scene cleanup, firearm replacement, even mental health counseling. Plus, 0 fees for a laundry list of defense-related costs like expert witnesses. So support the show and get yourself some peace of mind. Click the link in our show notes or visit our sponsors page to sign up for the National Self-Protection Plan from Attorneys on Retainer.
Hey folks, Pat here. If you're like Mick and I, you're a fan of classic tales like Lonesome Dove, Blood Meridian, The Three-Body Problem, and Steinbeck's East of Eden. With Audible, you can dive into these epic stories anytime, anywhere. Sign up for a free month, and your first audiobook is on the house. To start your free trial and support our show, click the link in the show notes or swing by the sponsors page on our website.
Want an awesome website for your podcast? Check out Podpage. We use it for the Mick and Pat show, and it's a game changer. Set it up in minutes, no coding needed. Support the show by using our link to get started. Your podcast deserves a home as great as ours. Podpage, the one-stop solution.
Be good.
Yeah, and I did the IFAC class with him where he just went over like what should be in your IFAC and how to use it. And it was super awesome. and I really enjoyed that. So yeah, pretty stoked for that. But all that said, it is crazy what people are still being taught in like today wilderness first aid stuff. I guess part of me is just like scratching my head, and I'm like, God, the last thing I want if someone put a tourniquet on my leg when I get to the hospital is for someone to be like, oh my gosh, he's gonna lose this limb, take that tourniquet off, and then flip and bleed out. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like, I'm just like, don't touch that.
Yeah.
Like, I want to have the presence of mind to be like, do not touch that. Like, leave that on there until you guys are ready to go in there and like freaking cauterize that shit. Anyways, Pat, we got some bad news this week, dude.
Oh yeah,
some bad news. Well, other than just like the fact that it's like tax season, and that just sucks because you're either gonna get decent news of like, it's not great news, but it's decent news because the government's like, hey, we charged you too much in taxes, here's some back. And you're like, would have been nice to have this money anyways, like throughout the year. But I guess I'm happy I got a little bit back. And then there's like the worst news of like, oh, hey, by the way, give us more. And you're like, oh, dude, no.
Especially if you thought you'd done it right. Or you've been paying into, you've been doing the thing, and you're like, uh-oh.
Bro,
what?
So here's the thing. Billie Jean and I, we're approaching total household income take home of almost like $200K.
Right.
Between the two of us.
You're in a different game than you were back in the college days.
For
hourly.
Sure. When I didn't even have to do taxes because I didn't make enough.
Right.
Right. But like, when we look at our paychecks, I mean, dude, our paychecks post taxes this year are like hardly above, I want to say like 120 combined income. Like we were taxed an insane amount.
You got up into the next league of
it was mind-boggling to me how much we paid in taxes and stuff. And I'm just like, if in the fact that like they might want more, I'm just like, dude, it's enough to make a man start thinking like Marvin Heemeyer. Okay. All right. But yeah, so we're paying a professional to do our taxes this year because it's just too much of a headache now. Especially like we're at the phase in life where we just have more and more investments and things we're putting money into to try to like save up for retirement or family. Then you have everything with like property taxes and your mortgage interest.
It's all a lot more complicated than
so much more complicated.
Your little like one W-2 or whatever.
Yeah, and like originally Billie Jean learned how to do our taxes when our combined income was like $90K. And it was pretty simple back then. We didn't have enough money left over from paying rent, groceries, and savings to like make it complicated.
Right.
And so it was easy back then. And then now as we've grown in our jobs and have been blessed with growing in income, that's awesome. Like we're super thankful, praise Jesus that we're there. But it's also like, why the hell, or why am I even asking Billie Jean to do this? Like, like this is if we make this money, we should just be like muscling up to just like freaking pay a professional to do it. So that way it's not a freaking headache. So I think we're biting the bullet this year and good. No, I know we are. I just talked to someone and I'm like, we're just gonna pay him whatever it is. Honestly, here's the thing. If somehow, let's say the Fed's like, you owe us $4,000 and then I pay this person $3,000 to keep me exactly like to pay him $3,000 to make sure I don't end up having to owe more money. Like then like that's worth it. I don't think it's going to be that. I think hopefully it's like in a couple $100, but that's just the example, I guess. But anyways, that's the side tangent. The real bad news. The real bad news. The Signal group chat leak. Now, Pat doesn't know about this because he's been a busy, hardworking man. That's a good thing. It's good to have a job that keeps you so busy you can't pay attention to the bullshit. But you're here now, Pat, and I'm gonna get your raw opinion on air right now, where you're asking questions. But this week, a journalist at the Atlanta Post was invited to a Signal chat. Signal is a group chat messaging platform for those who don't know, and essentially what it does, it encrypts all of your communications, so that way outside of Signal, if someone intercepts those text messages and such, it's completely encrypted and they can't unencrypt it. And it's very easy, like with the way the sending and receiving algorithm is written, that when you delete a message, it deletes it for everybody, not just for you. And if you edit a message, it edits it for everybody. So it's often used by a lot of people who are talking about things that, not necessarily, I'm not saying criminal at all, because I definitely use Signal and I don't use it for any criminal stuff, right? But I definitely use it for, like, I would
privacy.
say, yeah, the privacy of knowing, like, hey, I can talk about finance stuff, and I'm not too worried about someone intercepting these messages and being like, oh, so that's his Social Security and his bank account, yada yada, right? I also use it for talking with, like, dudes I'm talking about stocks and investments and stuff, just because it's a lot easier to talk about it there without someone on the internet saying, you know, if, let's say you post on Reddit, right, and you see on Reddit, hey, I'm gonna buy this stock because I think it's a good investment. Someone might be like, hey, I lost a lot of money, I think this was insider trading, yada yada, right? And then now you know someone's trying to sue you or whatever. So it's just a way of essentially covering your ass, right, guys? And it's convenient because if you said something and you have a typo that's goofy, you can fix your typo, and it fixes it for everybody. But what happened was that this Atlanta Post journalist was invited to the Signal chat, and the Signal chat was aliased to some degree of who was in it, but it was mostly people of Trump's cabinet. Trump wasn't in the chat himself, from what I understand. Someone had invited him to be in the chat, but he never joined it or something. But essentially, it appears that Pete Hegseth, our Secretary of Defense, was informing the chat when the strikes on Houthi rebels were taking place. He didn't say where they were going. He didn't say, you know, what the, like, location of the targets were, who the targets were, but he apparently was saying, like, yep, we just did the first missile, like we just did the first strike. Oh, we just did the second strike. Things are going well, you know, and like reporting like casualty estimates, which that is 100% without, like, there is no debating this. That is classified information. That information, regardless of my opinion of whether or not the public has a right to know that or not, that's still government classified information. And that is being disseminated on, even though Signal's quote unquote an encrypted app, that is not a secure form of communication that is approved by the Department of Defense.
Not for this level of stuff.
Yeah, and like, even though it is secure, and yes, you would not know what those messages were unless you were in the chat, the issue is someone invited a journalist to it, which means it's therefore no longer secure. It is not, right? Like, there is someone there who does not have a need to know that now knows. And it should have never happened in the first place. This is clearly a breach of security. There should have never been a group chat with these, you know, politicians involved on it, these cabinet members, talking about declassified information. And the fact that there looks really bad, because a lot of these Republican, you know, and these now I would say new Republicans, because Tulsi Gabbard's apparently one of them. A lot of these people were the ones that were saying it should be jail time for how Hillary misused her personal laptop with all these classified emails and classified communications on it. And it was totally insecure. And yes, like, regardless of, I don't care what your political beliefs are, but like, Russia totally got a hold of everything off of Hillary's computer. Like, that is without a doubt been proven. Not just Russia, a lot of people did. And so, all that said, they were the people crying for jail time. There were people crying for jail time for Hunter Biden with all of the intelligence and like classified documents on his computer. And now, yes, this is such a smaller degree and smaller, like it's classified information, and it's borderline barely classified information, right? It's classified information in regards to, like, this is something that the government itself doesn't report and share, but it can be reported on by journalists who find out about it, right? If you're a journalist near the Houthi rebels and some missile strikes come down, and you intercept some radio traffic that informs you like these are missile strikes from the U.S. Like, yeah, you have the right to report on that, right? That is total journalism, right? You can report on that. All that said, though, that is a way of discovering information outside of classified communications. And it's like the naturalistic journalistic investigation process versus someone breaching classified channels to share that information. So anyways, all that said, a lot of people are overblowing it, saying like this is just as bad as Hillary, Tulsi and Hegseth and all these people need to be like facing jail time. And then there's a lot of people underplaying it, saying like this is a nothing burger. It doesn't matter. All that was shared was with other people who had the proper classified, like they had the proper clearance to know. It was just a channel used to communicate it faster to them that strikes had begun. And both are wrong. Both are wrong, right? Like the issue is like it's in the middle here, and it's like black and white. And as much as people don't want to say it is, it is black and white. And this seriously denigrates your ability to have trust going forward. Now, I'm not saying hang them up by their shoelaces and like fire them and send them to jail. I personally don't think this is something that we would see even myself jailed for if I was at this level. I would think I would get a slap on the wrist for sure. I think I'd get fired and lose my job, but I don't think I'd be facing jail time. And that is perhaps someone can educate us on that and be like, dude, you're totally wrong. But from what I understand out of a lot of other leaks that have happened over time, I do classified communications and security training every year on like how to make sure you're not disseminating or sharing information that's classified, even if like, here's a good one, right? Let's say, for example, the JFK files, they're declassified and they've been released. But it's still technically, if they were classified and someone released them, it would still be against protocol for me to even discuss it. It would still be illegal for me to discuss it. Even though it's public information, you can just get on the internet and look at it and read the file, right? Anything that's still classified is illegal for us like that are employed and part of this like organization of security we're still not allowed to talk about it. And so it is 100% illegal what they did. I am also 100% confident that anyone else who did this would not face jail time. They would face repercussions. And I don't know what those look like when you're Pete Hegseth, Secretary of the DOD, right? Or Secretary of Defense, or, you know, these other cabinet members. But I think it could really look like, you know, heavy fine and loss of office. You could even get I would even say, like, if they revoked clearances for some of these people, well, then, of course, they have to lose their office. You can't be Secretary of Defense if you've lost clearance, which sucks because I really like the agendas that a lot of them have come forward in proposing, you know, especially like Tulsi Gabbard. I've really liked what she's kind of proposing for her office. And, you know, but I also got to be honest with myself. Like, this is a huge fuck up. So anyways, that's the situation, Pat. You're hearing it first time now. It looks like you're Googling things up and scrambling to try to get the info.
I just read through the messages while you were giving the breakdown.
Yeah. So what are your thoughts?
I mean, yeah, and I was screaming through them, but I feel like obviously there should be some other, I'm sure there is, and there should be some other place where these people are communicating.
Yeah.
And
there's literally Microsoft Teams on the DoD that you could communicate this information through. Like there is a secure messenger for it.
And at the same time, though, if they brought a journalist into that, which I don't know if you're allowed to, you know, that probably not, you know, give them access to that, right?
No, whoever invited them,
that's the
really was like the goose who was like, ooh, they shouldn't be doing this. And rather than going like to the proper authority channels, they were like, hey, journalists, get in here.
Because I'd say the information in here, yes, is sensitive. I would say, I mean, it all came out so fast. This was a over the course of 2 hours of talking in the morning, right? Like I was like, this was a one day. I think as far as I can see, I'm going through to see if I'm pretty sure it was all. Yeah, this was all over the course from like 8:30 in the morning till it did go all the way till that evening 6:35. So it was one day of chatting, right? Or like, but the meat of it happened in that morning when they were talking, and the biggest thing that would happen, I think the biggest mistakes on here is one, whoever brought in the journalist, whoever did that, they should face the most consequence. And I don't know how Signal works, but I would assume that like some of these people talking on here didn't know or approve that. I don't know.
Yeah, no way.
Right? So like in that sense, like even like just taking legal out of it, just to be like, all right, 5 friends are having a group chat about something that's like kind of sensitive, and then they bring their other friend's wife in, who's the most chatty Cathy ever, and just put her in the group chat. You know what I mean? It's like adding somebody's like it's adding the gossipy wife to the bros group chat. like
hey, be careful, because our wives love to talk, and they might think we have something not chill in our group chat, which
we may or may not.
Well, we have chill stuff in our group. It's babe, hear me out. It's okay. Don't listen to Pat. There's nothing sus in our group chat.
It's just things you might not like. You might not want to see the YouTube fart video compilation that gets
you might
sent.
not want to see, but it's not like we're. Yeah, I get what you're saying.
Or like when one of our buddies buys a gun, he tells us about it. And like that's sensitive information, and then he finds out via his friend's wife. His wife finds out from his friend's wife. Now we've got a big pickle. This is a big
pickle wickle.
Right? And so based off of like pure common sense, like how did this happen? Yes, the things they were talking about on here, I guess I don't know the level of like classified stuff. I'd say telling F-18s to launch and drop bombs is probably pretty like classified as far as just from, or I don't know all the classifications of how they talk about it, but I'd say you don't want the enemy or anybody else to know your plans before it happens, because these are big operations. These are pretty serious things. So that being said, I don't know what the repercussions should be for it. They should be on it. They should be in a, I don't know. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just saying I don't know. I don't think these people should lose their job for it. Maybe whoever brought the journalist in, because that's that's just such a big no-no. And also, yes, use a different form of communication. And that being said, too, how many Signal chats are there out right now being used by every country's secret squirrel stuff? Who's using Signal? They all are.
Worst part about it, man, is that a lot of people don't get what is known as, and this may seem on the nose, but it's like Signal signature, which is often used for like you have your signature, like an electronic signature, right? Like, do you have something going off GPS wise that is a signature to follow you by? Do you have your what's a lot of people is known as like your human signature, which is honestly like your voice echoing through the trees, the smell of your aftershave, the reflection of your skin in the sunlight. Like those are all signatures that someone can use to find you, right? And Signal signature is such a huge issue right now that the actual like United States Marine Corps just released a PSA video for Marines about how to not, like, you need to stay off your phone. In fact, you need to not be bringing your phone at all on missions, which is kind of crazy because I think a lot of civilians are just like, a lot of civilians I think thought for a long time like the military just didn't let you have a cell phone while like you were deployed. Like you just had to go use like the landline or the sat phone.
Right.
But nowadays everyone's on their phone texting, and they're literally like in this like PSA thing. There's a Marine behind enemy lines that's hiding out somewhere. and separated from his unit, and he texts them where he's at, his location, like coordinates. And his team says, any sign, anything? It's hours past by, and he's like, no, I don't have anything. Like, all right, cool, we're moving in and come and get you. And as they're moving up, freaking drone strike takes him out. And it's like, yeah, you know why? Because someone was intercepting those messages and knew the exact grid coordinates you were going to be at, and waited until you decided to group up to drop a bomb on you.
Yep. And that's where, and we didn't know warfare like this. Really, I mean, it's been around, but like until the Ukraine war kicked off, that's when it was like the cell phone stuff with like bringing it down to the common soldier. Like you had other operations going on, high tech, high speed stuff,
like
where
triangulating radio,
figuring you stuff. But then it became like, where it was like, and we saw it. I mean, Instagram, Reddit, everything was just blowing up with. We were getting live feeds basically of the whole war going on until everybody started getting droned out because of their
Dudes were live streaming on Twitch or Instagram, the war in Ukraine, and then people were like, yeah, we can definitely track like where that live stream is coming from. Boom, blow them up.
Yeah.
And so like now it's a big issue, right? And this is it, right? Because I have to be careful what I say here, right? Because I'm not really going to discuss the actual sensitive material of these messages at all. But the issue with these is that there is no operation security when you were talking about operation security on an unsecured network that's not approved. And like there is like it's unreal how ironic it is in this conversation, in these group messages and whatever, right? Because essentially what's been reported from the news and journalism is like they're focused on trying to make decisions in this group chat on Signal before going public in conversation about it for an appearance of like a unified cabinet, right? A unified war cabinet. And the issue is that when something like this leaks, because it's not on a secure network, it shows behind the curtain in how disorganized you are and how not unified you are. And it's like, it really is the worst case scenario for any kind of, leadership team. So,
and I don't know, did you notice the two very ironic things in this message thread?
I can't read the message thread.
What do you mean from this?
Well, because I work in security, and this isn't technically not declassified, so I can't read it. Right, I'm just going off of what I've like been essentially able to read without actually discussing or reading the actual sensitive material
from this Signal leak. From
I don't look. I'm not looking at any of the messages.
Oh, you haven't read them?
I can't. It is literally against the law for me to read and discuss the actual content
of this article on the BBC.
I can read the journalism about it, right? But I cannot distribute the material or discuss the material.
Right. Well, I'll say two things that are not classified, which would be in this conversation, somebody said twice, we will do all we can to enforce 100% OPSEC. That's Operation Security. Boom. Which is they're not doing in this very moment. And then
F in hell, dude.
And then he goes on to say, we need to make this happen fast in case this gets leaked. So that's,
oh my gosh.
So they knew now, as far as the timeline, this is a 1 day thing, but the timeline on this, he was saying we need to get this because the discussion was going on about whether they should do it now or later. And then they decided, let's go now. And they, from what I'm understanding, and then basically part of that being, we need to, we need to get this done in case this gets leaked, which I don't think he was meaning this message thread. I was thinking
like the news of the strike.
They meant this plan.
Yeah.
But this plan did get like the actual very thing that he didn't even realize how much the leak was going to happen on the leak, which was the actual text that said this could get leaked, got leaked. So, pretty wild.
Yeah. So it's just one of those things of like, man, like it's wrong what they were doing. It's also wrong that it happened and got leaked. But I get it. And it's bound to happen, right? And like, there's going to be ugly things, even if you're pro this administration, there's going to be things they do that's ugly and you can't get behind. And I just honestly don't know how you can get behind this kind of really like just lack of security and laissez-faire. Like, I don't know, man. For me, if I would just be thinking like on any of my messages, like, should I say this? Should I be saying this outside of a secure room, outside of a skiff? And if the answer is not emphatically, yeah, that it's okay, then you don't even gamble it. Even if you're like, I'm not sure, maybe I should censor this part out or whatever. Like, and like the fact that this happened is just, it's so embarrassing. And I feel bad. I feel bad for, the people who entrusted this admin and cabinet to not do something this stupid. Because now I'll say this, what is probably happening is that they're doubling down on their security. But if it got to this point on Signal, I would warrant a guess that there's some people doing some dumbass stuff on their personal phones, personal laptops, personal computers with information that's supposed to be secured and classified.
No, definitely. And the one thing that's one thing I was thinking about this was, what are the grounds for charging somebody with treason, and what are journalists' protections? If a legal definition of treason is treason is the crime of betraying one country by attempting to overthrow the government or by helping its enemies. And so by leaking, by putting this in, I don't think this person should be charged. The journalist should be charged with treason necessarily.
But where's the line on it?
But where's the line on what's that journalist's responsibility to
it's a good question
to this as well.
I think it's something like essentially like First Amendment applies when the journalism is revealing a crime taking place.
That's true.
And if classified information leaks out of that, then that's because it's the fault of the administration or the United States committing a crime. If they weren't committing the crime, the information would have leaked and the journalist would have been got hold of it. I think it's the concept of Watergate, right?
Yeah.
Of had they not been committing a crime, that would have never spilled out, right? That would have never happened. Anyways, I don't have a whole lot more to say on that other than it sucks. I think it's pretty much what it is. It's basic bread and butter. Like I said, I don't think it's more than what it is. And I think people are trying to downplay it as not a crime. And also people are trying to make it sound like it's as extreme as Hillary, forsaking, our people in Benghazi.
Right.
And it's it's neither of those.
Yep. But got to tighten it up there. Can't be doing that. It just kind of feels like rookie maneuver,
Yeah.
So, wow. Well, bet that journalist is not getting invited anymore chats.
Well, yeah. And I'm just going off of what I've read, reported, right? Without reading into the classified stuff. So I don't know. From best what I understood, they were invited in by someone.
Yeah.
But it might have been that someone else leaked the information to them. I don't know.
Yep. Yep. Oh, man.
Pretty crazy though, right?
Pretty crazy. Pretty insane. And yeah, in the... it's funny how the pendulum is swinging back and forth on, the complete and utter outrage. And I read this and I'm not that outraged. I'm like, hey, this was bad. Can't do that again.
It's bad behavior.
Yeah. I think I'm aligned with the activities they were doing. As far as the decisions they were making and where they were leading the country towards, now the operational security side, no good. What was being done was all right, unfortunately it had drone strikes and people were dying. So I don't know the complete fallout of that. But yeah, we will see what happens with that, or does it just, blow over tomorrow? I don't know, how these happen. But it looks like, did this happen basically today?
I don't know.
Seems fairly recent. Let's see, the messages were on. There's no date. Interesting. Huh. Well, all right.
I guess you could ask the Houthis.
Yeah.
Which is also like interesting in regards how informed are you on the Israeli news, right? With like where the Houthis are from Yemen, right?
Yep.
And the ceasefire is still in place with Gaza and Hezbollah, right?
I believe it is still.
But like the Houthis are kind of threatening that ceasefire.
Yeah, because they kind of run around the Red Sea and make stuff bad for those folks.
I will say I did watch the video. I'm pretty sure it was Houthis, right? Where it was them on a helicopter landing on an actual like Suez Canal ship that was like hauling freight, and they were taking it over. I'm gonna see if I can find this video real quick, because I feel like if you've seen it, you know exactly what I'm talking about.
And the Houthis were on a helicopter?
Yeah, they were on helicopters landing on ships to like take the ships over.
Yep. The game is changing over there as far as like, I feel like it was on it was on recruit mode for a long time. Not saying that the war wasn't hard, that people were fighting over there like in 2003 or whatever, but it was like the Shane Gillis stuff where he's like, the guy, who his feet move when he shoots and, out there in flip flops and pajamas versus now like, oh, we got night vision and helicopters and training off of YouTube, or whatever, like all the things that are, it's just, the game is upped over there as far as what's going on. And the Al-Qaeda, Islamic State, Houthis, ISIS, they're all Al-Shabaab. They're all getting much stronger,
better
much more
kit.
Yeah, but also like they're also like their locus of control, their region has grown, and they have also started. Even the ones who hate each other are working more and more together now.
Now, one thing I am curious to on that point, while I'm pulling up this footage of this freaking helicopter landing, because it's unreal. I'm trying to pull it up unedited. But with what you understand about the relations over there for the radical Islam groups, do you foresee really like a potential of like Taliban and like Houthi and Hezbollah and ISIS-K? Like, do you really imagine like that the heads of the Hydra can all focus on one thing without biting each other? Because I feel like it's always been like either there's multiple, like either it's, the US or Israel or a combination of, nations just cutting heads off the Hydra and trying to keep more from growing. But in my lifetime, I can't remember a time where the heads grew big enough and hungry enough that they started eating each other. I kind of am trying to remember. I can't remember for sure, but back when ISIS was like a issue and making their, the caliphate, the ISIS state, right? Weren't they at war with the Taliban for a while? Technically, like, weren't they conflicting?
Yes and no. I mean, there's because it gets obviously gets super complicated in a couple areas. Like the Taliban, the best way to think about the Taliban is just a government body, and then the best way to think about Al Qaeda is a ideological group, and so those a Venn diagram can cross over there, where you can have like the Taliban is sympathetic to Al Qaeda and what they're doing. Now, where it gets confusing, and if you go back into like Russians, 90s and stuff, you have the Mujahideen, who were, you know, like at one point the Mujahideen were fighters who were against groups like the Taliban. But then the Mujahideen during like the end of the GWAT or middle GWAT, like 2006, 2013, like they were aligned with the Taliban. So the Al-Qaeda, the best way to think about Al-Qaeda is, an ideological group that's widespread. They go all the way from the west coast of Africa all the way over clear into Pakistan, across the whole continent, they have groups in established groups in all those countries throughout Africa and the Middle East. And then, then you have, ISIS popped up, especially Syria and Iraq is where they've specifically popped up initially. But what's going on right now actually is Osama bin Laden's son, who we said was dead, is alive. He has been marrying groups. He's been marrying wives.
He's been setting up.
He's been marrying the wives of these other terrorist groups.
Been setting up the kingdom.
And pulling it together. And so that is a major player. I'm forgetting his name. Hamza bin Laden is his name. And he is basically one of the key players in aligning these terrorist groups. And so I think to answer your question about, kind of the Hydra, because you have lots of infighting. Then you have, you even have the issue of the Shia and the Sunni who hate each other. But and not every Shia, not every Sunni is within terrorist groups, right? Because Shia and Sunni is huge.
Yeah. No, those are like Muslim people, not terrorist groups.
Like almost like best way to simplify Sunni Shia would be Catholic Protestant.
Yeah.
Just like there was a great rift in their religion, and there's two sides, and then think about those two, like the Catholics and Protestants during like medieval times of like fighting over big parts of land, and so they have a bloody history with each other. But those who have become radicalized, whatever they are, Sunni, Shia, or the ones who become radicalized are putting aside their differences to join forces, to be stronger, and these groups are cross-training with each other. The Taliban basically also, at this point in time too, Al-Qaeda is pulling all the strings of the Taliban. So like I was saying, you have an ideological group, and then you have a government establishment. The Taliban is basically ran by Al-Qaeda and what they want to see happen. And so I think that eventually, yes, these little factions and things could fall apart, but for the moment,
right now,
they have an enemy that they can look towards, which would be the last 20 years of what we've done. It's a lot easier to unite all these folks against, the West. And so that's where they are. It's a little scary because the fact that in the past you could rely on the rifts between the groups, and now it's
there's nothing like marrying them off to create allegiances.
Yeah, so it's kind of about old world.
If you're
style.
in a religion where you can have a harem, it's easy to it's really easy to streamline it. I just sent you a link to this video. You can pop it up on your phone. But this is the Guardian News that has posted this video. And it's the footage showing armed Houthi rebels. I don't even know if you could call them rebels anymore. Armed Houthi members dropping off from a helicopter to seize a cargo ship in the Red Sea.
And they have a GoPro on their own helicopter.
Oh, yeah. And
it's their video.
The cinematography is pretty insane. They got like drone doing flyby stuff here.
Yeah. I mean, this
ship was hijacked by the group on Sunday. Israel claimed the seized ship was British owned and Japanese operated. Dude, imagine being a Japanese man on this ship and just being like, what the fuck is happening? I will say in this is a great video to watch of like how not to work as a team, because there's a lot of moments of watching it, maybe not in this video because of how it's cut, But there's a lot of moments here where I see dudes literally running up to corners with their barrel, their AK pointing at the back of their homie's head.
Good, that's what we want.
Yeah, we don't want our enemies to have good tactics, but I'm just saying, like, this is a good thing to watch to realize, like, how not to do this, how not to storm a ship.
Wow. The guy with the pistol yelling into his radio. Yeah, I mean, there's a multifaceted. They got helicopters coming in. They had boats coming in.
Yeah, bro.
I'm surprised. I mean,
pretty crazy, right?
What's going to be good for business in that sense is going to be people are going to start hiring out. It's going to be good for guys who are trying to find a job, who retired out of the military and they don't have anything else better to do. They're going to go sit on those ships and make $50,000 in 2 weeks defending them.
Yeah. See, the one thing they don't tell you about though is the rations when you're on those ships.
Oh, yeah.
I talked to a dude who was he claimed to be doing a maritime security. And he said there was one time he was on a ship for a 6-month stint, and the crew didn't know how to ration the food well. And by the end of it, they were eating chicken feet and bags of rice for like 3 months because people just garbled through like the actual real food rations. But yeah, isn't that nuts, dude? The way they're just storming that ship, it's just crazy to me.
Gosh, Wikipedia still says that he's dead. Hamza bin Laden.
He's
not dead. He's alive.
Pat, come on. Can you calm down? Are you telling me you're one of these conspiracy wackos that believes? I bet you believe Osama bin Laden's still alive.
No, he's dead.
Okay, but do you believe he died from SEAL Team 6?
Yeah.
You don't think he died of a urinary tract or whatever, or if not urinary tract? He had, what was it? They said he had failing kidneys, right? In testicular cancer or something, and that he died a long time ago. Have you heard of this conspiracy theory?
Yeah, I have, but I don't.
He was on dialysis.
Yeah, I think I think so. Well, here's what I know. A
dude who was there.
Yeah, well, yeah, I know a guy. I know it happened. That's all I'm gonna say. I know that SEAL Team 6 got him that night.
Yeah, I'll say this. I also know of an individual who has claimed to see Elvis Presley on the moon. Just kidding. No, I believe it happened because there's a couple people I met that have told me that they've seen the actual photos.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's the photos.
Osama bin Laden with the round in his brain.
Yeah, so I know someone who got the photos at the same time the president did. So it's like,
you know what I have to say to that?
Deep state.
Photoshop, baby.
Yeah, dude.
Photoshop.
But but with Hamza bin Laden, basically we claimed to have killed him. We didn't, and he's come back around. It's clear. There's pictures of him. Other government agencies around the world have verified, yes, he's there.
He's alive.
But the United States has not admitted that he's, or like, I guess, like said that he is alive. But,
well, because then we'd have to admit we missed.
Yeah, and so, but he is, and yeah, all information's coming out that he is basically he's not like the king of the whole deal, but he is a big player in it, and he is helping unite things through marriages who he's marrying. There's tons of guys who we let out of Guantanamo Bay who were.
Say that again.
Yeah, no, sorry. I just saw your hat on your head. It threw me off.
Guantanamo hole.
Yeah, well, you got your hat over your.
It's kind of hurting my hair, so I put it on over the headphones.
That's fine. But in Gitmo, as the people call it, there's lots of guys who we just let out of there who have just reestablished terror organizations. Part of like the people who did Abbey Gate stuff. Yeah. Some connections have come out between ISIS and the New Orleans attack, that wanted to call a lone wolf attack. It's looking like not the case. So the Hydra is currently kind of united Not to freak anybody out or scare them, but just you got to be aware of it. And a ton of them have come over here over the last 4 years, but that's another issue that we could to be addressed. But yeah, we'll see what that looks like, and hopefully they kind of the beast eats itself because of their inability to unite. But for the time being, it's happening. They're getting together. So we'll see. Some people think right now that the basically the attack like we saw in Israel is very similar to attacks that are being planned for here in America, and that it's just going to be on a different scale. But there's information from that, and lots of people, resistance fighters in Afghanistan who are still resisting Taliban fighting there, are also been warning, of the plans that these terrorist organizations have for harming America. And we'll see how that plays out over the next couple of years, but kind of crazy, kind of wild.
Yeah, it is pretty crazy. I think here's my prediction. We're about to get some really sick recruitment ads.
Yeah.
I think the military and DOD is going to be like, you know what? We should recruit people who want to go kill bad guys, and that's their main driving factor. And they don't even need to know how to read. We just need give us all of them who we can teach how to follow orders and shoot a gun. Because honestly, like, recruitment's so low. And why is it so low? Because there's like not a real fear of an enemy abroad. Most people are more concerned about what's going on at home right now. And that's always going to be more difficult to have a standing military. Especially, I've spoken with so many veterans that are like, you cannot pay me enough money to join back up. Because I'm more concerned that I'd be, requested to do something in a martial law scenario. Right. And I'm just not, I didn't join the military to be stationed at home.
Yeah.
Now I will say, on that note, I know quite a few dudes who are down in Mexico right now. We're on the border. They're stoked. They're like, it's freaking game time, dude. I'm happy to be here defending my border, but I don't want to be here policing my own people.
Yeah, no, for sure. And man, we'll see on the border stuff. It's interesting.
That's some crazy. Dude, watched Sicario again the other day, and it just made me just think dude, it could be so wild.
Yeah, I did the same. I watched Sicario 2-3 weeks ago also, and I was like, yeah, it's wild down there. And because I don't know where we're at with declaring cartels, terrorist organizations, and all that, and how that's allowing us to operate differently in those situations. But
I think if you declare them terror organizations, that does help with certain agencies being able to operate at home. Like, certain agencies are only allowed to do things against terror organizations, and they're not allowed to take action unless that organization is declared a terror organization.
But I think, are we also allowed to, now this gets into some country sovereignty issues, but are we allowed to, I think basically we can do more things and have it not be an act of war against that country. Yeah. Right. If we go do something in another country. But I'm sure it has to be, with permission of, whatever other countries. So
some thumbs up.
Yeah. But I will say, I think that whoever's running the White House Instagram page, they're getting a little, they're trying to
I'm not on Instagram. What's going on?
It's just I will say, it's just insensitive. They did an ASMR video of illegal import of deporting illegals.
No way.
Of the chains clinking and the
way, dude. That's not real.
It's just really dehumanizing, I think. And here's the deal: I don't want these people here. And when I say these people, I mean illegal immigrants. Yeah. For one, but especially criminals, right? And people who are dangerous. Now, if I was on the other side of the border and I was trying to get in this country, I'd be trying to get up here. Now,
Yeah.
I would probably try to do it legally, but if I had to, I understand the plight of people, and on an individual basis, like I might try to get over here and start, just
for sure,
get over here, get a job, do the thing, right? And so I understand that.
If I got booted out of the U.S. into Mexico, I would be working pretty hard to get back into the U.S.
Right. Well, yeah, and I mean, I just mean in general, I'm sympathetic towards people trying to come to this country for a better life. Mm-hmm. Now, what I'm not sympathetic towards is violent, dangerous people, and people who don't want to adopt the culture they move into either. And I think that that being said, all these people are humans, even the criminals, and they need to be either brought to justice, left to the country, whatever. But they still I think they should still be allowed to maintain dignity. And some of the posts that's going on, lots of people, it's just classic where people on the right are just, kind of like, hell yeah, ha ha, laughing about it. And then people on the left are very upset about it. Mm-hmm. And it's not just people on the left. It's people, even like, it's just kind of people who see other people as humans going like, hey, I don't think that this is how I don't like it.
This is not the image I want for like position of authority in my country.
For the position of authority for our country, the message to the rest of the world that it sends. And I think that all it does too is Biden got, he was very heavily criticized for not uniting the country.
Yeah.
You know what else doesn't unite the country? Things like this through an Instagram post that are just going to fuel the fire of the people who aren't on your side within our country. And so it's not helping bring United Front. It's not helping you look like a professional. And yeah, show a video of us supporting them, but don't like make like a joke, like ASMR videos, or like there's another one they did of some random person made like an AI video of Gaza with like Trump towers and like people and all this stuff. Did you see that one?
I'm looking on their thing right now on the White House.
I thought it was on the White House page, or
I'm not seeing this on the White House's page.
It was being put, or at least it might have been straight off of Trump's. The Gaza one too was like this AI generated video of like Gaza basically turning from rubble into like casinos and Trump towers and like super rich and wealthy. But it was just weird, and because also the AI people were weird looking in it. It was like disrespectful to like Arab culture, the Palestinians there, and just really like. It was really upsetting to a lot of people to see it like that, where, when Trump had come out and said, that what they're going to do with Gaza, and how they're going to take it over and kind of, it just.
I see it. This Gaza video, Gaza 2025. What's next?
Yeah. And it's just insensitive. And, I think also like to just all sorts of people, it's just not the thing to be putting forward. And like, I don't think that memes and meme type, posts are like the way to go with like from our top dogs. Maybe a joke every once in a while about something that's maybe less, volatile or less serious. Sure. Mm-hmm. Post a funny joke, be a human, and post something funny, show that you're real. But when it has to do with these people's lives and everything lost, and all these things, it's just like, come on, like it's not gonna win over the hearts and minds of the American people who are already the ones who are very either mildly opposed or very adamantly opposed to you. And so, anyways, it's just I don't know. I think that
dude, whoever is like, this has got to be a psyop. I cannot believe.
Somebody made it. So just some rando made it, and then it kind of went viral, and then like Trump reposted it.
Oh my gosh, dude.
So, and you could see where, some random kid was messing around or whatever.
Part of me makes me wonder if like Trump even knows, because I gotta imagine Trump. Yes, he's lambasting, but I honestly gotta wonder, like if someone showed him this whole video.
I think he could be tone deaf to it, as far as the fact that he's 80.
That's what I mean.
Watching it, being 80 and being like, being like,
oh, the kids these days, doing this crazy shit.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. But
exactly.
I don't think he needs me to defend him. I'm not trying to defend him, but I genuinely have a hard time understanding that like this dude wouldn't grasp the negative optics that Trump strikes me as someone who's very concerned with optics and appearance. And I gotta imagine if he saw that whole thing, he'd think it was pretty bad optics.
Yeah, it was the White House ASMR video came out on, it was on X.
Yeah, originally.
Yeah, that came out, but it's just, anyways, I don't think that it's helpful.
That's bonkers.
Do that sort of stuff. Even down to like, I'm sort of indifferent to like Gulf of America.
I could give two shits.
But
things change.
Well, but meaning like, was the goal to actually do something good, or was the goal to just rile up a bunch of people about what you're doing and just to assert your power and dominance over something,
real.
Right?
Yeah.
But I think that Google and Apple on their maps both they're on board. I mean, like I looked on the other day and it's like, it's the Gulf of America.
It is for real.
You zoom out and that's what it says. It's wild.
I mean, I get it to an extent, right? Of like North America, South America. This is not just, this isn't owned by a nation.
Mm-hmm.
The weird, like the Gulf of California isn't owned by California.
Mm-hmm. Right.
The Caribbean Sea isn't owned by the Caribbean nations. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. It's kind of, and like a lot of people are like, wait, isn't the Gulf of California like the same issue as Gulf of Mexico? It's like, I'm pretty sure, from what I understand, California, the name predates.
It's Spanish, it
predates the existence of the state.
Right. No, for sure. So,
I'm not defending it. I just don't care at all. I have zero care for it being called the Gulf of America or the Gulf of Mexico.
Right. And that's where I don't get that bent out of shape about it. I'm just like, what was if you have so many big, if there's so much to do to straighten out, was this really the top of the list on day one?
Let me ask you this, Pat.
Yeah.
As a Trump voter, man, what's the priority you want? What is at the top? You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, it just anything that makes differences to what's already like if there's the problem. The list is so big, right? So, things like the Doge stuff we've talked about on here already. It's like we there's a lot of it like what we're seeing, and efficiency stuff. Some of it I personally don't like, the approach, but the need for it I see, or like, in hardening our borders, that's important, and the thing they're doing a lot of that. And then it's like
cheaper eggs.
It's coming.
Cheaper eggs are coming down a lot already.
So so those sorts of things, economical stability, all these things. And so I just think that, anyways, I just don't know if these semi-petty or power move things are uniting or actually moves the needle forward in some cases. But, and same with like, the big beef, flaring up with our 51st state, incoming from the Great White North.
I know this is also going to piss people off. I could care less. I could care less if Canada is. Here's the thing. I pretty much wholly entirely agree with the Trump admin's point on like Canada wouldn't exist without the U.S. Like Canada exists solely because the U.S. is here. And Canada could have been steamrolled by the USSR and could be steamrolled now by China or Russia, right? Like if it wasn't for the U.S. So I don't think we need to own Canada. I don't think we currently own Canada. I do think, however, that Canada, I know like they're seriously in debt to the U.S. beyond what they could ever pay. And that we send them so much money on loan for them to essentially fix things that should be under their purview of the government, such as like their, a lot of it is like their oceanic border. Like their coastal borders. They have just almost zero security for it.
Yeah. And
they struggle a lot. And we send them money on loan to try to build that up and prevent illegal smuggling. Anyways, all that said, I could care less. I don't necessarily think we need to own Canada. I could see a benefit to it.
Yeah.
I tell you what, I honestly think if we owned Canada, we could see an insane explosion in people leaving the U.S., quote unquote, right?
Oh yeah.
To go up to BC. Like if people knew like they could just go up into BC and just live there and still be an American and just retreat, I think we would see an insane amount of people leave the other places.
And the big D power move too is like, you know, the classic, like, if Trump wins, I'm moving to Canada. Mm-hmm. And then for like the very small population that actually stuck to their word.
Yeah.
And then he just a couple months later just thwarted. But I do think there's an issue with respecting country sovereignty and being flippant with it, you know. And yes, you know, I'd rather have a good, strong ally than just like kind of something that's could be contentious or whatever. So, but and I think that like in Canada definitely knows. I think that the people there know and see and appreciate America for like what we do and who we are to them and why the lives they have because of the success of America. And I think lots of them do see United States as like kind of the big brother, you know?
Oh, yeah.
And so I think this was hurtful to a lot of those people to be like, hey, we were already like, yeah, we're fans, but you're the way you're treating me right now is kind of like, it's like, you know, just hurtful. And so then just throwing stuff off, you know, and you know, we'll see. I don't think we're taking Canada, but there's been lots of,
I don't think we are either, but it'd be crazy.
Oh yeah. And that's also already cooling off. And part of that too was like, a lot of that was Trump coming after Trudeau.
Oh yeah.
And as he's, you know, fizzling out, you know, that's gonna cool off.
One thing I do think though would be pretty advantageous, especially if they want to do this, Greenland.
Yeah.
Greenland would be pretty sick.
Get that icy patch going.
Yeah. Anyways, all pretty crazy stuff, man. The world of politics is pretty bonkers, ever evolving. And you know what? If anything, this is just a lesson, I think, not even a lesson. This just reinforces the point of like politicians are people. And often what I've heard is that they are just the people who are willing to start walking and setting foot into the political sphere because they're just so sick and tired of doing like what, you know, the rest of us enjoy doing. Mm-hmm. Like so many people I hear, like I've been told, like I have someone I know who works in politics, and he was saying that his wording is that most politicians are stupid. They're very dumb, stupid people who could never succeed at a blue collar job, let alone a real like PhD level white collar job. And they get into politics because everyone else is too busy working their jobs. And they're like, I don't have time to get involved with running for mayor, let alone being my county's treasurer, let alone XYZ, right? And he's like, I wish people would, because all we need is smart people to be in politics. Most of the smart people are in business and manipulating the dumb politicians. And I'm just like, okay, I don't know enough politicians to agree with them, but that's what he says. And he is a politician, so it's kind of ironic, but it was one of those things where I hear that and I just think this kind of stuff reinforces that, you know what I mean? Like these are people, these are not, you know, remotely close to divine, you know, godlike beings that sometimes they were like looked at throughout all history. And, they're going to be dumb and they're going to do dumb things. They're going to have bad opinions. And sometimes we hope that they get it right for the rest of us. And they do the right thing for the majority. But all that said, we'll see.
For sure. And like one of the classified things, or one of the probably not classified things on this little group chat was a fist bump, American flag, fire emoji.
Crazy.
It's just like, yep,
crazy, dude.
It's just people just on the bro chat, just dropping bombs in the Middle East. But,
absolutely unreal.
It's wild, super wild. Oh, but I think we covered a few things today.
Yeah.
A
lot of drama,
definitely, and the I think we'll be checking back in. Probably next episode we'll checking in on talk through some of like how that training went, what we learned, break down what we saw, what we where we were falling short, and kind of what the tips and tricks we picked up were, and it'll be fun to go over that and just see debrief that. And, you know, if you've made it this far on the podcast, thank you. We appreciate you guys tuning in, and you can check us out on, you know, all the normal spots where you can listen to us. We've got some on YouTube. There's going to be, when this is airing, we're going to have some more videos out there, video format, for you to be able to look at the kind of our virtual studio that we've built. You can check out the website. We've got, you know, some links and deals on there. Get yourself equipped with, you know, stuff and things. Yeah, we're just glad that to be doing this. We enjoy it. And anything else?
I guess I'll do your line. Till next time.
Thanks for tuning in. If you love this episode, drop us a review. If you have qualms or comments, leave us a voicemail on our website. While you're there, check out our latest news, merch, and deals from our sponsors. Till next time, Ken.